Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Yesterday, I was watching Good Morning America, the Today Show, and it was weird. You know, Savannah Guthrie, first of all, you know, she is so transparent. You know, whether or not she likes someone is so funny. You know, and they talk about, you know, how politicians, Republican politicians, beat up on sweet little Savannah Guthrie, and she turns into a monster. You know, she doesn't yell or whatever, but she's got the most demonstrative looks on her face of either I like you or I despise you. You know, and even though she maintains kind of a soft tone, she's still ugly in the way she talks to you. You know, if she doesn't agree with you. But it was a regular love fest on yesterday's show when they had, you know, and NBC apparently is completely, you know, in the bag with Hillary. You know, the Saturday Night Live. Did you watch Saturday Night Live?
I haven't watched that in decades, and I won't. I will not. I mean,
I watch it on occasions just to see how bad it is.
Yeah, it's bad.
But you know, her being on actually made it worse, which I thought was impressive. But it's not
the kind of impressive I want.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was a complete love. Really, it ended up being, you know, they tried to laugh at her, but they did it in such a way where it made her kind of a star,
right?
Type of deal.
Well, first they lambasted Donald Trump,
and they beat the crap out of the Donald,
and
it was huge.
It's not like they invited him on the show.
No.
But they
will never be inviting him on the show, and he probably wouldn't do it.
I would hope he would probably be smart enough, since he's even having problems with Fox, that he would stay far away from the left wing media groups. But you know, they didn't bring him on, but they brought his character on, and they assassinated it. And then they bring Hillary Clinton on, and they try to turn her into a very sympathetic. You know, she's the bartender. And who's more sympathetic than the bartender, right?
Yeah, kind of reminded me of the Billy Joe song, Piano Man, right?
There you go.
You know, just pulls up a drink and smiled when he talked about the possibility of being president. You know, the guy in the Billy Joe tune wanted to be an actor.
Yeah,
right.
There you go.
There's got to be a way of making, you know, a version of that song that, you know, based on Saturday Night Live, that and her face lit up about possibly being president.
Yeah,
you know?
It's so transparent. You wish the Obama administration could be as transparent as the left-wing media is, but it was so transparent and sickening, quite frankly, because they're all in the bag for her.
And it just shows you the depth and breadth of their you know, of the stupidity of the listener, the viewer. The viewer just, you know.
They ate it up.
They eat it up. They think it's funny. They think it's cute. They think it's witty. And they don't have a problem with and that, you know, Saturday Night Live is Saturday Night Live. But yesterday at the Today Show with this Love Fest in New Hampshire, they have, you know, they took over a restaurant. They gave free food to all the people that showed up and made sure they were well fed, because let's face it, well-fed questioners are happy questioners. You had to be a Democrat or an independent to be able to participate in the Hillary Clinton town hall. And they said that. They literally said, all of our participants are either Democrats or independents.
Yeah, so you can't have anybody who might, you know, I don't know, ask or pose a tough situation or question for Hillary Clinton. Only a mutual admiration club or mutual admiration society. You know, it's the peanut gallery. It's not anything more than that.
Yeah. And, you know, I couldn't watch it. And in fact, I had to run to the restrooms, you know, and shortly after it began. But I did see one clearly.
Kaopectate.
Yeah, that's right. Bernie Sanders probably supporter, even though he wouldn't say that. He said he was independent, but that surprised me.
You know,
the rest of the group was really kumbaya and how smart you are. And of course, you know what the number one topic is
what?
Guns.
Really?
Guns.
Why would what happened recently that would possibly make that top of mind?
Yeah, what I don't like is that the debate is always the same. You know, they want to explore the possibility of eliminating guns as a solution, and they don't have anything.
No. They will never say that. They will never say that.
Of course they won't say that, but that's what they want.
Of course.
They want to curtail guns.
Of course, but they will never say eliminating guns.
Okay, they want to curtail guns.
Because then that feeds into the entire paranoid right-wing fantasy that people want, in the government. They want to take our guns away. We can't let them.
Yeah.
So they will never admit to elimination.
I would bet New Hampshire is probably one of the most pro-gun states out there, I would think.
Really?
Yeah, just because, first of all, I mean, historically, live free or die. Historically,
stop.
I know it's a largely purple bluish state now.
Live free or die. You know what? They can say that all they want. California, don't tread on me. Give me a freaking break. You think that there's a more regulated state in the country?
Is that their motto?
Don't tread on me, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
I thought that was on the state flag, or at least it used to be.
No,
for California.
I don't think so.
Am I just pulling rabbits out of my hat in other places?
Which is certainly better than other places.
Hey,
yes.
Speaking of which, SNL coming up with that thing for the love letter for Hillary. Don't you think that most of their viewers are probably Bernie Sanders voters? Probably.
I think that's probably true.
And so it's kind of ridiculous that they would have this love affair with Hillary when most of their viewership is probably leaning more towards being a Bernie Sanders type of a fan. That's my guess.
I think you're probably right. I think that I really believe that they would all vote for her in a heartbeat if they didn't think she wasn't going to go down in flames.
Well, you know who it is.
I think she's going to go down in flames, and I think they do it.
It's the executives who are older, like Lorne Michaels, who are the Hillary supporters. But the millennials, dude, they're voting for Bernie Sanders. Feel the burn. That's what they're all about.
Yeah, I would say that on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most pro Second Amendment and 1 being the least, New Hampshire's probably about an 8. The act of open carrying of firearms by non-felons is generally permissible. No license required to openly carry a firearm while on foot. But carry of a loaded pistol or revolver in a motor vehicle, openly or concealed, does require a license.
That makes no sense.
I know it doesn't have to make sense.
Walking around on foot, you can carry openly, but then as long as you get in your car, you have to all of a sudden you have to have a permit.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but that's still way more flexible than a lot of states out there.
It's more flexible than Texas.
Yes, New Hampshire has no law restricting the age at which a person may possess and carry firearms.
What?
Yeah,
I could be a 3-year-old toddler walking around.
Maybe
with
it's a 9 on that scale.
A loaded 44 Magnum. That makes no sense.
Although New Hampshire is a statutory shall-issue state for a license to carry a concealed handgun, due to the suitable person language, it is in reality a de facto may-issue state. But again, it sounds like it's one of the most liberal out there.
Well, but here's the thing. Okay,
and think about it. They bring in more people from Massachusetts than probably any other state of the union. They need those guns.
Right. Right. Well, I my thought on this is, back to Hillary Clinton and the whole guns thing. She may not say she wants to eliminate guns, but I have heard countless liberals talking about how now they want to limit ammo. And if you just made ammo illegal, then the problem would go away because, and they act like that's not an infringement of the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Well, it says nothing about ammo. Well, what are you going to do? Use the gun as a blunt instrument?
Yep.
It's a firearm. Where's the fire? So clearly, we're dealing with unhinged, irrational people who will lie. Let's face it,
Liar!
Blatantly lie in order to get their agenda passed, which ultimately is, just like Barack Obama said, Kevin, what are the 2 countries that he specifically cited during his speech after the Oregon shooting? The 2 countries he specifically cited were Great Britain and Australia.
Right.
And saying that...
By the way, Australia's crime rate is exploding right now because they've massive confiscation of guns. So crime rate is going through the roof.
For him pointing to those 2 countries as, places where they've come up with reasonable, really? Banning confiscation, that's reasonable? Okay.
In England, cops can't even have guns.
They don't. Only certain, like the inspectors level do. But your bobbies on the street don't.
No.
But, I mean, it's bizarre. Now, I will say it'd be nice if cops used tasers more than guns in our society.
Yeah.
I think that would be, thank you, please, yes. But at least they need to have a gun. They don't necessarily have to use it, but they need to have it. But for us here, we're sitting here going, okay, I read the code, the matrix. I see what you're doing. What you're saying is reasonable laws, and then you're saying Great Britain and Australia. And in those two countries, they confiscated.
Right.
And now, of course, Great Britain is trying to do a buyback program on knives.
Right.
Because they have such an increase in violent crime using knives.
Right.
Folks.
And next thing will be frying pans.
That's right. The weapon
especially the iron skillets.
The weapon is not the target here. The weapon shouldn't be. We have so many other issues going on. Our culture is so different than Great Britain. It's so different than Australia.
It really is. They are, I mean, I've spent huge parts of my life in the UK. My mom is from the UK. You know, and I hate to say it, but they are generally a much more genteel people.
Civil.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
They
well-mannered.
They're well-mannered. They're not inclined to be violent. You know, frankly, they found my verbal conversation more violent than most things they saw on TV. When I was 16, you know,
right.
And so it's a very different type of people. It's literally, we've had Dr. John Lott, one of the premier authorities on gun control issues on our program, you know, and he's talked about that. The Brits, it's really like comparing apples and oranges. But this is interesting. This is from the The Age newspaper. It's an Australian newspaper. So September 26. Alarming statistics show that violent crime in Australia is a man's game and that it's exploding, literally exploding. Crime is up. The police seem to be struggling. Our courts are full, and the government is looking for solutions. And this has all happened within the last year of the massive confiscation of guns.
Send me that link, because I'd love to use that, because people are constantly pointing to Australia as an example of how we should be doing things because their crime rate is so low. Listen, violent crime here, these are the lies you're hearing, folks. The mass shootings, the 200 and some odd this year, blah, blah, blah. Most of those are gang-related. If you took those numbers out of the figure, because you're talking about 3 or more people shot, not killed, but shot. Take gang-related violence out of the picture, and then tell me what kind of numbers you're dealing with these mass shootings. Number 2, violent crime in the United States is down at the lowest level in like 30 some odd years.
That's
30,
right.
And murder is even lower. So, you know, we're dealing with a manipulative media and a manipulative government that is trying to fudge their way into a scenario where the American people are okay with losing their guns. And we need to stay vigilant because they will do anything they can to try to make it portrayed in such a way that it's no big deal, we're just going to do this or that, and it's the frog in the cooking pot scenario. A little bit at a time, you're getting your liberties and your rights taken away. And the Second Amendment does matter. Okay?
Yeah,
it does matter. The First Amendment matters.
All 10 of them matter.
Well, but yes, you're right, they do. But the First
Second Amendment protects the other 9, by the way.
It should.
Yeah, well, that's what it's designed to do.
The First Amendment.
If you don't have a Second Amendment, the rest are irrelevant.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is you see how the First Amendment is being whittled away in our society.
Right.
Big time, right now especially. So what's next?
Whittled.
What's next? Second, first. We're going to go in order here.
Yeah.
They've gone after the first. Now, you know, free speech is very much under attack, as is freedom, religious expression under attack. So now guns are going to be obviously next under attack. And we just need to remain vigilant and really hold our legislators and our judicial people accountable for trying to take away our rights that were enumerated. They're actual enumerated rights in the Constitution. They keep saying, well, why don't we put and they, I mean the left, keep saying, why don't we put a licensing like we do, and force people to have liability insurance if they want to own a gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I would argue it makes sense to have liability insurance if you own a gun.
Well, but to force the issue, I'm sorry, but that's a privilege.
That's right.
Driving a car
that makes guns go from right to privilege like that.
Because they're saying, driving a car, you have to have insurance. No, that's not a right. It's a privilege.
Yep.
Not enumerated in the Constitution,
Nope.
whereas bearing arms is.
Yes, absolutely. Anyone wearing short sleeve shirts should be allowed to do that.
Absolutely right. Bear those arms.
Bear those arms.
Gun show, welcome.
That's exactly right. All right. I think that wraps up the show. It was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, though. Do want to remind the listener, best content here shows up over there at usdatareview.com. Go Stros. Good luck against the Yankees. Have a great day. Spin it wisely right here on this station. Hey, I also want to mention today's show brought to you in part by our friends at Video Mojo and Cornerstone Business Academy.